Good evening. My name is Mark Dooley, and I am the acting principal of Aldershot High School. On behalf of the staff and students at Aldershot High School, I want to welcome you to this evening's virtual iSTEM program night. Halton as we know it today is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and the Métis. From the Anishinaabe to the Attawandaron, the Haudenosaunee, and the Métis, these lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in Indigenous history. As we gather today on these treaty lands, we have the responsibility to honor and respect the four directions: land, water, plants, animals, ancestors that walk before us, and all the wonderful elements of creation that exist. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation for sharing their traditional territory with us. As I said earlier, my name is Mark Dooley. I'm the acting principal at Aldershot High School. We're also joined this evening by Mr. Paul Dawson, the secondary vice principal at Aldershot High School. We have Carrie Sagar, who is an iSTEM lead teacher here at Aldershot. Jamie Mitchell, another iSTEM lead teacher at Aldershot High School. And we're joined this evening by two superintendents of education, Ms. Terry Blackwell and Ms. Jacqueline Newton. During the presentation, audience members are free to submit questions live through the form that is linked on the Halton District School Board website. It is also pinned at the top of the Halton District School Board Facebook and Twitter page. Questions will be answered at the conclusion of this presentation. A reminder that the Halton District Facebook and Twitter accounts are shown there on the screen. Here is a short video that showcases some of our iSTEM students and what projects and learning they were engaged in during their grade 9 year.
Probably my favorite part of iSTEM is the fact that we get to do group projects with others that are interested in what we're doing. So we get to come together as a group and think about what we want to do, how we want to achieve it, and use different strategies that we have learned to complete it effectively.
Your own video. Darn it.
Since everybody chose to be in this program and everyone is passionate about what we're learning, everybody wants to help and wants to do as much as they can.
You get like different perspectives and stuff. Like you might like be thinking a certain way, but like everyone else is thinking differently. So you get to see like different opinions and stuff.
The design challenge they're participating in is actually the one my first year students participate in, and it involves inviting a local person, a client, into the classroom for whom the students design. And this year we had a woman who was actually a mature student at McMaster University with primary generalized dystonia. And their job, my students' job, and the students I think here at iSTEM are essentially tasked with designing something that could help her with some of the movement problems she has due to the dystonia.
Because the 4 subjects that are math, science, tech, and geography are so correlated, you have the opportunity to solve a number of different problems in a variety of your own ways.
You learn more, and when you're older and want to become an engineer, you have to have all 4 subjects anyways, so it's preparing you for our futures more.
Companies are looking for people to be placed in roles where people really are needed, and one of those areas is in solving complex, open-ended, and unstructured problems. The project the students are doing here, or did here with iSTEM, is a good first step in starting to learn how to deal with those complex, open-ended human problems.
We get to look at real-world issues like our ravine project. It's not something that we would have done in a normal high school scene.
The ravine project is there's basically a ravine behind the school, and the problem is it's eroding at an unnatural rate, so it's eroding a bit too fast.
The ecosystems are really not doing well because of the erosion. All the roots are exposed, the trees are falling down. It's just not even looking nice, and the pollution that kids throw back there.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a solution to the erosion problem, so we're trying to make it erode slower at a more natural rate.
There isn't a fixed answer, there isn't a right answer at the end. They need to make their way through a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity, and there is plenty of room for failure through a project like this.
I think my favorite part would have to be our model rocket project. At the start of the year, we started looking at prototyping, so we started by making paper rockets, then we worked our way up to bottle rockets, and then we did a combustion rocket. We did learn the tech behind it, the chemistry behind it, and I liked it because it wasn't just sitting in a classroom learning, it was that opportunity, and I find it much easier to learn things when it has a purpose. I think the most important piece of advice that I could give a future iSTEM student is you have to be passionate about these STEM subjects, and you have to be able to see a future for yourself with a STEM-related job or profession, because if you're in this program, it will be your future.
We'll now turn things over to Mr. Paul Dawson to lead us through the next part of this evening.
Thanks, Mark, and good evening, everyone. We're excited that you can join us. We know it's a different platform for us to be sharing this information this evening in the virtual world, so we thank you again for taking the time to join us. You're going to learn a little bit about our 4-year iSTEM program, some of the unique opportunities that students have inside the school as well as outside, and we'll share a little bit of information this evening about the iSTEM application process. So why iSTEM? It's a great question, and it's one that we hope to answer for you this evening. And we know in a world of continual change and evolving science, technology, engineering, and innovation, we as educators and students have the opportunity to develop global citizens who contribute to solving complex economic, social, environmental problems. We really want to take the students through a journey where school looks different, feels different, sounds different. There's lots of focus on skills development, integrated programming. And our goal really is to help students become producers of new ideas to be able to contribute back to their community, local or beyond, and not just consumers of what's already out there. So that's a little bit of why we think iSTEM is a great program, and we hope that your child and your family will join us in this journey as an iSTEM student. So in order to get a program like this off the ground, we didn't do it in isolation. We developed, we have a development and a group of development and advisory partners, and you can see some of them there. Dr. Fleisig, who works with McMaster University, has been a great partner with the program. Mohawk College, we've done some excellent work with and some experiential learning opportunities. Engineers of Tomorrow, TechLink, ICTC, our staff have done some training with the iThink organization. We've worked with Let's Talk Science, and you'll learn a bit more about Canada 2067 through this presentation as well. But again, we didn't develop this program in isolation. We've worked with the people and organizations listed here as well as others, and we continue to work with them as we grow the program and continue to evaluate how we are offering this program to our students. So we've talked a little bit about skills, and that's a big component of what we're doing here. So it's not just about the curriculum, but that's an important part, but what skills can we develop through some of this curriculum? So these, what you see on the screen now, these are referred to as global competencies and are identified in the iSTEM program brochure that you'll be able to reference later on. And we know there's an increasing need to consider the social impact of our innovations in a globalization and a global world. Living in a world of change, we must navigate a path that allows us to prosper from evolving science, technology, innovation, as well as being aware of the human dimension as we foster these social and cultural opportunities for cohesion. So when you look at these skills, they are referenced in some other material in our roadmaps, but we're really working and focusing on developing these skills with our students and these competencies through the iSTEM program. So Canada 2067, we got to do a bit of research, and we did some research and worked with Canada 2067. And a lot of what you're going to see in this slide has been key in the development of what we've done. So Canada 2067 is a national initiative to shape the future of STEM learning. In 2017, Canada 2067 was launched to catalyze a national discussion about the future of STEM education with young people. They traveled across the country, talked to over 1,000 grade 9 and 10 students, and what you see on the screen are the key 10 insights from these students, and it mirrors much of what we're learning and hoping to develop with our iSTEM students. So thinking about personalized learning, collaboration, integrating technology, and you can see behind me, that this big box behind me is one of our 3D printers there. So students are gaining access to a variety of different tools and technology, experiential learning opportunities, mentorship, critical thinking, problem solving, self-awareness, their well-being, and comfortable spaces. All of this is integrated into our program, and we're glad to be working with Canada 2067 on this stuff. So what you're going to see here is a bit of information and how we're preparing and what our students are being prepared for the future. So the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has identified 3 key areas that were helping shape the focus of work for the future of work. So technological change and disruption. So, there's been a number of technological advances in the area of robotics, artificial intelligence, sensors, and data, and they've created an entirely new way of getting work done, and in some cases, upending the way we look at work and the tools that we use. So we want to be preparing our students for that technological change and be disruptors in this area. Shifting demographics. Demographics are changing and shifting the composition of the global workforce. In most places, people are living longer than ever, and the overall populations are becoming older and younger, with individual nations becoming more diverse. Even more challenging, the younger generations will be increasingly concentrated in developing economies, while developed economies continue to get older. So it's being mindful of that, helping our students prepare for that shift in demographics, and being ready to pivot at any time. And that notion of accelerating globalization, largely thanks to digital technologies, and our students are engaging, and our staff are engaging in these digital technologies on a daily basis. It's being able to find the resources and access people as needed. So again, helping students develop the skills to be able to navigate that world. And when we look at that vertical chart, it's the notion of the Ontario Highly Skilled Workforce Report recommends a number of things, starting with partnerships, local partnerships with leadership there, transitioning into experiential learning opportunities, developing the skills and competencies through those learning opportunities and helping students prepare for multiple career pathways at the end of their high school and post-secondary careers. So we're hoping that through our program, students will have that early opportunity to develop those skills.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Now I'll turn it over to Jamie Mitchell, one of the teachers here at Aldershot.
Thank you, and hello everybody. We really appreciate everybody who's watching live. I'll echo that this feels a little different than it's felt in the past. The past 2 years for our open house, we've had over 1,000 people crammed in here listening to and learning about this program. So this is definitely a different feel, but regardless of where we're at, pre-COVID, post-COVID, or during COVID, it's the philosophy of the program, and it's the people who staff the program, and it's the students who make the program great every day. And I feel kind of good that I get to talk about those aspects of our iSTEM program. You know, we started with thinking about and designing some really interesting learning environments. You probably can't see me so well right now, but I'm sitting in the room called the Innovation Commons. The Innovation Commons is a really big, nice, wide open space. Every wall is a whiteboard. There's lots of places for students to put their thinking on the wall. It's just an exciting room to be in. Miss Sagar, when you can see her a little bit better, is sitting in one of our science labs. It's where our kids go to do a lot of experimenting. Mr. Dawson, like he said, is sitting in our design hive. It's a really neat room that's equipped with, like he said, a 3D printer. We've got a laser cutter. We've got a whole pile of computers that kids can borrow throughout the day to do some interesting learning on, get some experience with technology. We've got all these interesting gadgets that are locked up right now, but kids love to tinker with over the past 2 years. And you know, that's one of the exciting things. But you know, these rooms aren't much without the students to fill them with. So if whoever's controlling the slideshow can go to the next slide. We need the students here to make this program great, and the past 2 years have blown me away with what our students can do in this program. We have a great working partnership with the engineering program at McMaster University, as well as a partnership with Mohawk College. You can see the picture on the top left is our students sitting in a McMaster engineering lecture their very second week of school last year. And even though we're dealing with different circumstances this year, our iSTEM students starting in February will also be participating with the McMaster engineers, and they get their hands on an actual McMaster engineering first year project, and they get to present their solutions of that project to engineers and real clients. It's an amazing experience. You can see the top right-hand side picture. That was, again, a picture from last year, obviously, but it's our students getting together and collaborating. That hasn't changed this year. We're doing a lot of digital collaboration, virtual collaboration, but our grade 9s have just finished, just yesterday, a big project with the city of Burlington addressing a ravine, the ravine behind our school, and the fact that it's eroding. You heard a little bit of that in a video. Those were students talking about their experience last year. We had just as an amazing work produced from our students this year. Again, they were working 100% virtually with kids they'd never met face to face, but their work was just as good, if not, I think, a little bit better. You know, that's one of the great things about this project. We have kids always working on these big ideas, big themes, and our courses are all integrated together so that at any given time, our students might not be able to say what subject they're learning. They're just at school learning. And you can see that top right picture. That's a group of kids, I think they were in geography class, but they were working on understanding some of their clients' needs from the McMaster project from last year and creating some prototypes that would solve a client's problem. We've got some kids working in the wood shop on different projects, and I think that bottom left project is the kids, again, prototyping, talking together, all things that worked great in person, but we as a staff have been able to bridge the gap and make them work just as well virtually. So we're really proud of that. The iSTEM program itself functions around a couple key ideas. The first idea is what we call the toolkits. Students in grade 9 come in and they learn through the lens of engineering, and they develop skills that we call the Engineer's Toolkit. It's a wide variety of skills that pertain to students who maybe are interested in engineering or maybe they just want to tinker. I think the key skill is that idea of prototyping, making something, evaluating it, getting some feedback, and then going back to the beginning and starting over from scratch, or taking what they've built and refining it, making it better and better and better. After that grade 9 toolkit, students dive into the entrepreneurship toolkit. This is something that Ms. Sager and I are developing as we go and as we learn. It was really exciting. Maybe 4 weeks ago, our grade 10 students presented some work around something called the Youth Philanthropy Initiative, where our grade 10 students researched a social issue in Burlington, researched a charity that addresses that issue, and then they were able to compete to donate $5,000 real money to a charity of their choice. And just again, seeing the variety of their work and the depth of their thinking after just being in this program really for a year was pretty phenomenal. In grade 11 and 12, we dive into something called the Global Innovators Toolkit, which is based on something called the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Again, we're building this program as we go based on feedback from our students. So we don't quite know what the grade 11 and 12 year is going to look like in practice yet, but we're, as a team of iSTEM teachers, really excited about developing that. We've taken that kind of the idea of what we want grade 9 to be and blended it into what we call our year 1 roadmap, which has multiple different projects woven throughout the year, again, all in that integrated way. And students in grade 9, when I say they're learning in an integrated way, they're learning math, geography, science, and tech design as a bundle together all year. Last year, before COVID, that worked really well. They took their classes in the afternoon, again, stretched out over a full year. We've had to pivot a little bit this year. Instead of learning 4 at a time, they're learning 2 iSTEM subjects at a time. But again, it's all integrated. They're learning it at the same pace as everybody else, and then examining some of these projects through that lens. This obviously is available on our website. I think we just want to take a little pause and show you what it might look like in practice. This was a video that we made last year. If you ignore the fact that the kids are sometimes working pretty close to each other, you could almost take this video and port it to what we've done this year, and you'd see the exact same things. We've done this exact same project this year. Go ahead and press play. So again, that was mostly from last year, but you wouldn't be surprised if you walked into one of our classes and saw kids doing substantially similar stuff. We did a rocket launch project that wrapped up about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and the sound of the kids at the end of that video cheering for the rockets is the exact same thing we heard on the field the other week. It was pretty awesome. In year 2, like I mentioned, the kids are working on an entrepreneurship toolkit, really focused on creating their own startup, which is a project they work on all year long. And the team is in the process of marking some of the pitches right now, and the variety of ideas from students is so amazing and inspiring. And we dreamed when we started this program about teaching kids to change the world, and just through their work, that's going to happen. In grade 10, they again have integrated subjects. They're learning math and science, civics and careers, and English in an integrated way. The science has been partnered with civics and careers, and I think one of the key projects the kids worked on in that was a climate council, where students took on the role of a different country and talked about our climate crisis and what each country can and should do. In the English and math bundle, my favorite project, the kids wrote and created their own podcasts about a math topic, and we just finished listening to those. It was, again, inspiring. I'm really inspired by these kids and this program. And, I have 4 daughters of my own, and I would not ever hesitate to send them to a program like this. I'm a little biased, though.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. I'll turn things over to Carrie Sagar.
Great, thank you. Our students in grade 9 and 10 this year are really sad that you're not here live with us, because the students really are the best ambassadors we have for iSTEM. Last year, our grade 9s were able to talk to the incoming grade 8s, and I think they are the ones that sell the program the best. But our grade 10s did make videos for you. So we're going to show you one of the videos tonight. And then if you follow us on Twitter, over the next couple weeks, we'll send you more promotional videos so you can hear right from the grade 9 and 10s about the program and what they think of the learning that they're doing. So this first video is by Hudson Bulldog, and he's going to talk to you about why you should come to iSTEM.
Hello, I'm Hudson, and I'm here to tell you why you should choose iSTEM. Let me give you a few good reasons. First, you get to specialize in the field of your interest. This allows you to choose an innovative idea that you want to find out more about. For example, when I was asked to do and complete a project last year, I got the choice of something innovative that was current and interesting to me. I built a drone that would bring medical equipment to people quickly. Second, you get hands-on experience. I have the opportunity to visit McMaster campus and sit on lectures. I also have the opportunity to build stuff, real stuff, using technology and other different types of materials. Learning in the classroom is important, but hands-on learning that gives us an opportunity to contribute to the community is also essential. Third, you get to learn about things you actually use in your life, and the types of things you will learn will be so broad, from learning about how you can help the environment to building a rocket you actually get to test. Fourth, iSTEM offers fully integrated projects. For example, we worked on a ravine erosion project. This entitled actual going into the ravine and trying to figure out with your group members how to stop erosion. How cool is that? And what is even cooler about this and all our projects is that it integrates all 4 iSTEM courses. This means for this project we used geography skills to look at environmental issues, math skills for calculating slope, science skills for analyzing plants, and tech skills to develop a system that would stop the erosion. Another really awesome thing about this is that students have access to all the knowledge of all 4 teachers to complete one project. This may not seem great to you, but let me tell you, this is so beneficial. I should also add the teachers are super helpful, always available and happy to answer questions, and always ready for a good discussion. So I've given you some good reasons to choose iSTEM, but for me, the most important reason I love being a part of the iSTEM program is that I get to try and solve problems, real problems, whether that be economic, social, or environmental problems. Last year I went to McMaster to learn about a student who is suffering from a nervous system issue called dystonia. We were then tasked with the goal to design and build something that could help her in everyday life. My group developed 2 ideas. The first we called the Super Spoon. This was built to help the patient eat using utensils without spilling her food. The second was a prototype of a robot that could move and bring her laundry up and down the stairs. I also want to tell you about how each school year is focused on a different school that will provide you with necessary tools to become a global thinker. In grade 9, you'll focus on engineering. What does this mean? This means you will learn innovative skills related to engineering and design thinking. These skills, combined with the opportunity to solve real-world problems, will teach you to become more creative, a critical thinker, and understand how to manage a project from beginning to end. In grade 10, you'll focus on entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurial thinking is important if you want your new scientific ideas to turn into reality. Through project learning, you'll take an idea, pitch it, recruit others to join, or join in if you like their ideas, and then develop it. In grade 11 and 12, you will explore, develop, and implement solutions to social, economic, or environmental global issues, always keeping in mind the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, so lastly, I'll talk about the elephant in the room. Social distancing and quad masters. Well, the other thing that has changed is that we can't all congregate together while working. Projects are still integrated. We get directions from all 4 teachers. Our entire iSTEM year gets together via Google Meet. We work in groups online with different cohorts, and we still present our projects in innovative ways. So even though all of these challenges, the iSTEM program stays true to its core objective, preparing us for our innovative futures. Thank you.
Great. That's such a nice video to hear from a student's perspective. And we could have showed you 200 videos like that. We love our iSTEM students.
Hello, I'm Hudson.
Grade 8 students, if you're watching today, we want you to join us. We really feel like we have the best students in Halton and the students that are going to be change makers in our society. So grade 8s, how do you apply? Here's the big question for the night. There is an application to come and join us in iSTEM, and the application will be available tomorrow on the HDSB website. So I'm going to show you a screenshot of that in a second, but you're going to go on to the HDSB website and apply. You have to have your application in by December 4th. And the 3 big things we want to ask you are, one is, what excites you about innovation, science, technology, engineering, and math? So tell us, what are you thinking about in terms of those subjects? 2, describe your own personal learning goals and reasons for wanting to be part of the iSTEM program. And 3, what is one problem you would like to solve or big question you would like to explore as part of your learning in the iSTEM program? Truly, student voice is a centerpiece of the program, and we want to hear your voice and help guide the learning that you're doing. So those are the 3 questions that we ask you to answer. You will also be asked to submit your grade 7 report card and a copy of your grade 8 progress report. Now, don't freak out that we want all A+. We want students who are natural learners. We want students who want to make a difference. So your grades might not be exactly where you are. Where you want to be, but that does not mean you will not be accepted into the program. We're going to be looking at your learning skills, some of your marks, but really how you answer those 3 questions is essential. So once you're done your application and have someone proofread it for you, you're going to submit it to the HDSB website, and then you'll have to wait a little bit. But while you're waiting, you can follow us on Twitter or on Facebook. Oh, sorry, that's the HDSB. You can find HDSB on Twitter and Facebook. You can also find iSTEM on Twitter and Facebook as well. And then tonight, we want to answer some of your questions. So we're all here to answer questions, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Dooley, who will direct us on the questions that we have coming up.
Thank you, Mrs. Sagar. First question, I'm going to direct to Jamie Mitchell, and it is, how do you measure the success of the iSTEM program? How do you measure the success of the iSTEM program?
Well, I'm glad you're starting me off with such a softball question. That's a really great question. On one hand, I think we might not be able to measure the success of the iSTEM program until we have our first graduating class, and we hear from them. But I think if we pause and talk to the students that we're teaching right now, it's easy to see the impact this program's having on the kids that are in this program. I have hundreds of pictures on my phone of kids learning in iSTEM. They're always smiling. Anytime they take a video of themselves, they're happy. The rooms are filled pre and during COVID with just the noise of kids engaged in learning. And to me, that's more success than saying, 25 of our graduates become doctors and 50 become engineers. I don't know if I care so much about that. I care about the attitudes of the kids and how happy they are every day and how engaged they are. We get told all the time how much kids love coming to the iSTEM program to learn, and that's my measure of success.
The other measure that we could add in there is that we have university researchers working with us. So our iSTEM students are being studied by a consortium of universities, and they will be telling us if our program is successful or not as well. So it's really lovely to have, we have Nadine who joins us from U of T, and Elizabeth that comes from Waterloo. And so they are helping us measure how successful the program is.
Thank you. Next question is going to Superintendent Jacqueline Newton. And the question is, we're speaking tonight on behalf of Aldershot High School. Are there other locations for the iSTEM program in Halton?
Great, thank you very much, Principal Dooley, and it's nice to see everybody this evening. We are planning to have a northern site for a program similar to Aldershot. So the iSTEM program will be offered in both the south part of the Halton board and the north part. At this time, we are launching our grade 9 program in the north in the year 2022. So if students are residing right now in other areas other than Aldershot, they would need to attend Aldershot and from grade 8 to grade 9 and enjoy the experience at Aldershot for their high school career.
Thank you. Next question is going to Mr. Dawson. What extracurricular activities existed before COVID that iSTEM students could be involved in? And did any iSTEM students create their own clubs or activities?
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, we had, like most schools, we had a number of extracurriculars, including student government, student leadership. We had many athletic opportunities and sports, and as well as our link crew for senior students. So we had a full variety of athletic teams. I've actually had the opportunity the last couple of years to coach some of these teams. And last year I was one of the coaches for the volleyball team. And we had a number of students from the iSTEM program on the team. And many of them were actually not local to Aldershot. So they were coming in from different towns, from Milton and from Oakville as well, to join the team and participate. So they're getting that full experience extracurricularly, and whether it's athletics, there were a couple other opportunities out there as well that I think iSTEM students started, and I think Ms. Sager's got a little bit more information on that she'll jump in and share some of that information.
Yeah, our iSTEM students are amazing, and so they have formed a couple different extracurricular clubs. So they did do chess. They organized a sort of a social media campaign on healthy living and healthy lifestyles. They work with our public health unit to do an anti-vaping campaign. And they also have their own iSTEM student council that looks at different issues, and they do like swag and that kind of thing. So they are organizers and love to be involved. And we encourage iSTEM students to get involved in lots of different extracurriculars at the school.
If I could jump in and add as well, we're talking before COVID, but right now we are actively exploring some virtual field trip opportunities for our iSTEM students. We've got a couple coming up, in quadrimester 3 when we see them again. And it's very much a learning experience for us, what we can do under the conditions we're in, but we're doing our best to give all of the students that high school experience that they deserve.
Great, thank you. Next question is going to Mrs. Sagar. How many students will you accept this year, and how many generally apply for the program?
So it's a great question. We generally get hundreds of applications, and there is a full team. You're looking at some of them right now that come together to look at the application process. And it's a bigger conversation maybe we'll have because Milton isn't opening, but we hope to take as many as the facility will allow for next year. So we're excited to see your applications, and even if you think your grades or your answers aren't the best, apply, because it doesn't mean you won't have a shot at getting in.
Thank you. Next question is for Mr. Dawson. My child has an IEP, an individual education plan. Can they still enroll for iSTEM, and what support would they receive?
Thanks, Mr. Dooley. That's a great question. If a student has an IEP, they are 100% encouraged to apply to the program. We have a number of students currently in the program in grade 9 and 10 with a variety of learning needs, and those are captured in the IEP. We have a team of special education resource teachers here at the school that help to update the IEP and support students' learning with accommodations. And they work with the students and their teachers, all teachers, iSTEM or non-iSTEM teachers, to help those students meet with success. We also have a student success lead teacher here as well that helps provide different academic supports for students who may require it. So yes, like many of our schools across the board, we do have our special ed resource teachers in the building. And again, we have a number of students with IEPs enrolled in the program, and they're meeting with great success. And they come from a variety of backgrounds across the region and outside of our region as well. And we've been able to, I think, do a great job with our team of iSTEM teachers and classroom teachers with the certs to provide a great learning opportunity for those students. So if you have an IEP, absolutely apply. I think, again, coming back to Ms. Sager and Mr. Mitchell's comments, marks are important, but we're looking holistically at the student, and we've seen some students who have just flourished in this program, who've done some amazing, amazing things, and some of them have IEPs and their own unique learning needs. So absolutely apply.
Great, thank you. Next question is coming back to you, Mr. Dawson. Is busing or transportation provided for iSTEM? And if not, what options exist for students?
Thanks, Mr. Dooley. So busing is not provided to the school or for the iSTEM program. It is an optional program. So transportation for students who live outside of the Aldershot catchment, that's up to the families and students to organize. With that being said, though, there are a variety of options that make Aldershot a very accessible school to many students. So there is a GO train line that ends it's about a 10-minute walk from the school, 15-minute walk from the school. So if students are taking the GO train or the GO bus to that location, that is an option. And we have a number of students who come in from Milton and Oakville who use that option. There is also a city bus that runs right by the front of the school on 50 Fairwood Place. So local Burlington Transit is an option again for students to take, and they do access that. We have students who carpool. We have students who get rides individually from a parent. And there are some private transportation options out there that students and families have explored that is independent of the school and independent of the school board, but families have sourced that out to get them to school in a busing manner. So there's a number of options that make Aldershot a very accessible school if you live outside of our catchment.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Next question is going to Ms. Sagar. If I am not currently a Halton District School Board student, so I attend a private school or live outside of Halton, can I still apply for this program?
Great question, and absolutely you can still apply. Our students in iSTEM come from all over Halton, Hamilton, Georgetown, Peel, they come from all over, and we have students from homeschooling, private school, Catholic, and lots from HDSB. So you can definitely apply. Before, someone was asking numbers of how many students are actually apply. We do have hundreds of applications, but I think we can say fairly that we'll have probably at least 150 spots open. So when you go to apply, if you're from outside HDSB, on the website, you'll see you use a different button than the HDSB students. So HDSB students applying for iSTEM will get one button on the website. Students outside of HDSB will have a different green button on the website for the application.
Thank you. Question for Mr. Mitchell. How will this program benefit the future of a student?
I think there's lots of different ways how this program will benefit a student and their future. I do know informally we've had a few of our post-secondary partners commit to some scholarship opportunities for students. So I think that's a financially direct benefit. But more than that, skill-wise, I think what we're really doing here and doing well is giving our students the skills to be risk takers, to be innovators, to approach an uncertain future with a positive attitude and the skills they need to succeed. So curriculum is important, and we do teach the Ontario curriculum in all of our subjects, even though they're integrated. We are teaching the Ontario curriculum, but more than that, we're arming students with a whole suite of skills that they may not otherwise get in a more traditional school setting.
Thank you for that. Next question, I think, is a follow-on to Superintendent Newton's earlier answer. The question is, if my child starts the iSTEM program at Aldershot, can they transfer to Milton for their iSTEM program the year after?
No. So that's the quick answer. So when you apply to come to the iSTEM program at Aldershot, you will continue there until graduation. When we open the iSTEM program in the North in Milton, it will only open with grade 9. So by the time we get that going, the students this year who are in grade 8 will be in grade 10. So we will not have the grade 10 program running at that time. So we'll start like Aldershot did with grade 9 only, and then we add a year after. So we're pretty confident that the Aldershot program is amazing, and that when you land here, you'll love it so much that it's worth the drive to Aldershot. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is going to Mr. Mitchell. Will iSTEM students be able to take part in external competitions like FIRST Robotics or Area Science and Engineering Fair, etc.?
Yes, for sure. Not so much FIRST Robotics. That is quite an expensive program, but we do offer computer engineering, which would give students an opportunity to dabble in robotics. And we have had discussions as a teaching team of starting a robotics club that hasn't gotten off the ground for obvious reasons. We did participate last year in the Bay Area Science Fair with our grade 9s, and several of our students did quite well, winning some of their bigger awards. And then that's something we hope to continue next year as well. Last year, all of our grade 9s competed in the Waterloo Math Contest, again, doing quite well as a class. So these are all things we want to continue, and as we grow, we're casting a wider net for other opportunities that are similar for our students to compete in.
Thank you. Next question for Mr. Dawson. Can students take French immersion or grade 9 music as well as iSTEM?
Thanks, Mr. Dooley. So for French immersion, no. French immersion is an optional program like iSTEM is an optional program. So if a student chooses to come to Aldershot for the iSTEM program, it is not offered as part of a French immersion program. So students can continue to take their 4 French courses, one each year for each of their grades, and continue to learn the language and develop skills each year, absolutely. But as a French immersion program, no, it's not offered with iSTEM. In terms of the music, absolutely. Students have the opportunity to take an arts credit in grade 9 And the ones that are offered at Aldershot are drama, music, and visual arts. So students can absolutely take music as one of their art credits in grade 9 in the iSTEM program.
Can I just add for French immersion, so our students that are coming out of French immersion into iSTEM, we encourage them to continue in French, and they will do the DELF exams in grade 12, which will give them certification. So they don't leave French. Many of our iSTEM students that were part of French immersion up until grade 8 are continuing with French, and they are practicing to write the DELF exams in grade 12.
Thank you. Back to Mr. Dawson. If my child decides to leave the iSTEM program and switches to academic programming, would this still be possible?
So if a student lives in the Aldershot catchment and is in the iSTEM program and chooses to leave, they would remain an Aldershot student, and we would do our best to program for them appropriately. If a student lives outside of the Aldershot catchment and is attending for iSTEM but is choosing to leave, the recommendation has been to go back to their home school for their regular academic programming. We acknowledge that there are sometimes some timing issues with that related to the integrated nature of the programming. So we would have those individual conversations with students and families if they were to make a choice to leave the iSTEM program and return to their home school. We would do our very best to support that transition and have those conversations if that comes up.
Thank you. Question for Superintendent Newton. How is this program different from AP, Advanced Placement, or IB, International Baccalaureate?
Thank you. This is what's so great about the Halton District School Board, that we offer 3 distinct regional programs for students. So the iSTEM program you've heard a lot about tonight, and you know that it's a 4-year program with lots of diversity and themed programs. And obviously for an interest for students looking at pathways that might lead to some of the careers in those areas and follow their dream. The Advanced Placement program is offered in several of our schools, including Milton District High School. It starts in grade 9 by cohorting like-minded students who want to go deeper in the Ontario curriculum. And then in grade 11 and 12, students have the option to write exams that are held by the Advanced Placement College. And in succeeding in those exams, some universities in the United States, as well as McGill and British Columbia, may consider offering you advanced standing when you apply, which means that you might in some courses start in 2nd year rather than in 1st, and hence the title Advanced Placement. The International Baccalaureate program starts in grade 9 as well, and it's offered at Craig Kielburger Secondary School in Milton, along with other schools in Burlington and Oakville. International Baccalaureate is, again, a 4-year program. So all of these programs are 4 years. It's a 4-year program where students are cohorted together and they work together in grade 9 and 10, and then going into grade 11 and 12, they start studying for exams that are held by the International Baccalaureate. And again, earning an IB certification through their specialty programs. Sometimes that gives them an advanced standing with a focus on the International Baccalaureate, which could be in languages, in arts, in math. It's a variety offered at various schools. So what's great about Halton is you have lots of choices at grade 8. What's not so great is you have too many choices. And so it's hard to distinguish which meets your needs best. I do know that, as you know, iSTEM is putting their program on, you can watch the program again this evening, as well as Advanced Placement, and the International Baccalaureate schools are posting what those programs look like as well. So I would reach out to your school that's offering those programs and take that into consideration as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question goes to Mr. Mitchell. Will coding be taught as part of the program?
Good question. And right up my alley, since I studied software engineering at McMaster University, so I got a little bit of experience with this. Yes, coding is an option for students in their grade 10 year they can choose to take computer programming. They probably do a little bit of coding and computer engineering as well, as far as options go. We found a lot of our students take it upon themselves to learn coding in grade 9, through dabbling in different things. As a program, we've made an investment in purchasing some Raspberry Pis, some microbits from Inksmith, all things that students can code on. We're participating in a hackathon in February as a group to give students who might not have experienced hacking on their own a little bit of taste for what it could be. I myself, as a math teacher, when I do teach the iSTEM kids some math, I don't go full on into coding, but we do dabble in it. It's definitely something that kids will be exposed to in the program.
Thank you. Next question is for Mrs. Sagar. Can you go a bit deeper into the kind of requirements you have to be meeting in order to be accepted into the program, and what you're looking for in a successful student for iSTEM?
Yeah, great question. So again, you do need to hand in your grade 7 report card and your grade 8 progress report. And then you have to answer the 3 questions on what excites you about STEM and why you want to come to STEM. We are looking for students who have a natural curiosity, students who want to be change agents, students who like working in groups, because you do a lot of group work, and students who can think outside the box. If you want a textbook, it's maybe not the best program for you, because we don't use a lot of textbooks. We use current journals, articles. If you want to do readings, you're using the newspaper, but a traditional textbook is probably not what you would find in the iSTEM program. So we want different types of students. The one thing in your application, it does say, but I don't think we said in the presentation, is that there is a $200 fee each year to come to iSTEM. And the $200 does the offsetting for things like our 3D printer or laser cutting or Arduinos and Raspberry Pis, or our trips to McMaster. So if you are accepted into the program, you will pay a $200 fee each year, and that's for all the experiences that you will have that are sort of outside the box and different than a traditional classroom.
Thank you. Next question is going to Mr. Mitchell. Is there a lot of communication between parents and teachers? And how is that communication handled?
Yeah, we have several different ways we handle that. Like, the easiest way on the surface is to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We're often sharing images and pictures and thoughts about what we're doing day to day. So definitely connect with us on social media. Last year, before COVID, we were in the habit of sending a kind of a monthly update home, an e-blast to all parents. With the shortened schedule, that's kind of fallen to the wayside as far as a formal newsletter goes this year. But all of the teachers in the program are fantastic. We're social media savvy. We're into our email. We're connected all the time. So I would expect you to get as much communication as you want from a teacher, be it just on the surface, knowing what's going on in class day to day, or getting updates on your child's progress when you wonder and when you want it. So there is a ton of communication home.
Can I just add one other thing?
I forgot something.
Yeah, just that our research group, the consortium from universities, is actually studying iSTEM parents as well, and yeah, so they've actually spent quite a bit of time with our researchers, and we want parent feedback on the program and how things are going, and so we really do treasure and honor parent voice. We have an advisory council for our engineering year and our entrepreneur year. And we have parents that sit on both those advisories too, that help us build the program. And actually, Terry, you maybe want to talk a little bit about the advisory?
Sure. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for staying on. I know that we're a hard stop at, I think, 8 o'clock, so I'll try and be very, very quick. The advisory group, we are a group of educators and we're very passionate about the program for your children, but we're not the engineers, we're not the entrepreneurs. We have a wide range of people from the community, post-secondary, businesses that are working with us. And the advisory group meets on a regular basis. Mr. Mitchell said to me tonight in the hallway, once we get this done, next week, let's get an advisory meeting going. Like, we are always bringing them back. We're showing them what we're doing. They're coming out and listening to kids work. They are blown away. And as Ms. Sagar mentioned, parents that have joined iSTEM, so our grade 9 parents last year, the first year, we had parents on our advisory and helped build the next year. And that's something that we think is very unique in this program, and we tap into the skill sets of our parents for sure. So I'll turn it over because I see our time is right at the end.
Can I add one more thing? Yes. I do want to say one of my favorite pieces from last year was when we could have our parents in January for our public exhibition of learning, where students got to show off their projects and what they've done. That's obviously missing this year. I think having an aspect of making kids accountable for showing off what they've learned to people other than their teachers makes them produce better work. It's weird, but we've seen it happen. We are, again, as a team, trying to adapt and figure out ways that we can make maybe a virtual public exhibition happen this year. We haven't quite got there yet, but with respect to welcoming parents in, hearing from parents, listening to parents, that is one of the things that's always on my mind, and I know it's on the rest of the team's mind too. Trying times doesn't make it so easy, but I'm sure we'll figure out a way to make it work.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for joining us this evening. The iSTEM program is a spectacular program and truly one of the great things about the Halton District School Board. Hopefully you've had a number of your questions answered this evening, and we look forward to seeing your application. Again, the application forms are linked through the Halton District School Board website, and they are due by December 4th. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us.